some way of keeping our candles from melting. The service there was horrible. Very demurty.
Hey loves, welcome back to our channel.
I'm Bella.
And I'm Ruby. We're the owners of Love & Co Candles. Today we're going to go over some of the do's and don'ts of doing a pop-up market. We just completed our first market for our candle business, and we want to share some of the things that we learned along the way. So in doing this pop-up, we came to find that there were certain things that you need to have with you, things that you should do and things that you shouldn't do. So we're going to go over some of the things that we've learned so far and some of the things that we'll be taking along with us into the next show that we do. The first do is to make sure that you plan ahead.
Once we figured out our desired sales goal, that determined how many products we needed to make and bring with us to reach or exceed that goal.
In addition to inventory, we also prepared a mock setup of how we wanted the products to be laid out once we arrived at the show. We prepared the signage that we wanted to use. We got the payment system ready and entered all the inventory that we were going to have with us so that we can make sure that it was all set up. We got a hotspot and we tested it to make sure that it worked with the payment system that we had brought with us so that we were ready to go on the day.
And thank goodness, because the service there was absolutely terrible. Without that hotspot, we wouldn't have been able to accept any of the payments from our customers. We would have had to take cash only.
And a lot of people wanted to do tap to pay.
Or Apple Pay or whatever.
Organizing all of this ahead of time made it so that our day ran really smoothly.
Our next do on the list is to engage with your customers. We found it really helpful to smile and say hello to everyone that was walking past our booth, and that kind of brought them in and got them curious as to what it was that we were selling. It's also important to have a little backstory behind your business.
It's sometimes called an elevator pitch, but it just is a quick snippet. You don't have a lot of time with some people, but if they want to know the story of how you came to be a business or the product that you have and what's inside of it, it's nice to have a little prepared quick speech that you can give when people walk by.
But don't be discouraged by the reactions that you may get from smiling at people. There was a few people that we smiled at and they kind of turned away quickly, and I wouldn't take it as any offense to you. Some people just may not be interested. Some people may be just a little shy, but just don't take it personal.
Number 3 is give out samples. Depending on the business that you're in, this may not be feasible. But for us, having candles and room sprays, it actually worked out well for us to give out an actual sample. Not just for people to come up and smell the candles, but for something that they could take with them as they walked around the market.
And even after the show, they could go back and smell our products and be reminded of our booth, and maybe even look us up on our website and order from there.
The people who stopped by our booth were given the option between a wax melt in one of our 4 signature scents or a small tester room spray. Alongside the sample that we gave, there was a card that had our contact info and an incentive to purchase. So it was a free shipping, I believe, if they purchased something after the show. And we felt that it did really well and it got a lot of attention. Handing out the samples helped differentiate us from the other candle makers that were there, because we didn't see anyone else that was handing out any samples. And it helps people remember us after the show. Another do on the list is to try to set up a camera or your phone on a tripod and record your interactions. While you're going through the show, you may forget a lot of the things that are happening, especially if it's a busier show. Even if you don't have a YouTube channel or you're not posting it on social media, it'll give you something to look back on so that you remember how the day went, but it also will give you some history of the interactions that you're having with your clients or customers. If they loved a certain scent, if someone said something in passing and you just didn't quite get it, it can give you more information on what you should bring to the next show. So it's always helpful, even if you don't plan on using it for a YouTube channel or content.
Now let's talk about some don'ts. The first thing that we recommend is to not overcrowd your space. A cluttered booth can be overwhelming for you, and it can be overwhelming for the people that are stopping by at your booth. If you keep it organized, it's going to be a lot easier for you to check people out and for people to find what they're looking for. For example, we brought a lot of candles and room sprays and other products with us, but we didn't have everything on our tabletop. We only had one of each scent, so one of each candle and one of each room spray for people to smell. That way it was very clean and simple and easy for people to smell the products.
Number 2 on the don'ts list is do not ignore your booth. This market for us moved pretty quickly, so we had our first sale before the market actually officially started, and then from there we constantly had people stopping by. But there are some times when you'll have a slow or a lull in the market, and it's real easy to just get on your phone and not pay attention. Someone could walk up and you're looking down. It could also deter people from coming up at all because they might feel like they're bothering you. So you don't want to seem disinterested. You don't have to seem super eager or desperate to jump on every person that walks by, but you don't want to seem disinterested and wind up missing out on a sale or a connection with a future customer.
One thing that we would suggest is bringing something with you to do in those slow moments. You could be stuffing your gift bags or folding up info cards or something of that nature. That way it gives you something to do in those slow moments.
But it shows that you're still engaged with your booth and the customers that come up.
Number 3 on the list is don't forget to prepare for the weather. This is especially important for us because we traveled to this market. So where we're at, it's extremely hot, but in Anaheim, it was about 20 or so degrees cooler. So it's important to make sure that you have what you need to keep your products safe and to make yourself comfortable at your market. If we were to do a market out here, we would have to have some way of keeping our candles from melting, literally, because that is how hot it is out here.
Yeah, it's hot enough. It's at the melting point. Most days.
The temperature in the summer out here is our melting point for our
candles.
wax.
So we would
honestly, our booth would probably smell amazing, though.
It would, because the car
and
smelled
it would probably
amazing.
attract more people. That's funny.
So yeah, just make sure that you're prepared for whatever the weather is. We checked the weather forecast for the area that we were traveling to days in advance. We wanted to make sure if it was going to be warm, cooler. We made sure that even though it said it was going to be one temperature, we had change of clothes. We had sweaters for layers in the case that it did get cooler. You just never know what you are going to be up against, so you just want to be prepared for whatever may come.
Another don't on the list is to not be late. Our check-in time was at 3:30, and we showed up even a little bit before then to know where it was that we were supposed to go, where to check in, where we could park, things like that. When you're doing these markets, it's in your contract that you have to be there at a certain time and that you have to be there for the entirety of the show. So if you're not there by their cutoff time, they will remove you from the show and you won't be able to present. Usually you won't get a refund for your booth fee either, so it's really important that you're there on time. So if you're coming from a long distance, you need to give yourself some wiggle room for traffic and unforeseen occurrences.
So we've gone over some of the do's and don'ts, but we also want to go over some of the items we suggest bringing with you that will help you have a successful market. Luckily, we didn't need it for this show, but we do suggest a mini toolkit. We did leave it in the car, but it had a few different screwdrivers, some razor blades, a mini hammer, just some things in case anything was to fall apart on our setup. The next thing on the list was Velcro. We brought along some heavy duty Velcro in case any signs were to come apart or we needed to make sure something wasn't going to blow over from the wind.
Next up is a battery multi-pack with different sized batteries. We had to bring battery operated lights to this show because it was a night market and they didn't provide electricity. So our lights already had batteries in them, but we wanted to make sure that we had backups just in case any of them went out. We also brought a first aid kit that had Advil, Tylenol, Band-Aids, just in case we needed to use it.
When I was almost concussed at the show.
Because she hit her head on the booth.
Those Tylenol, very helpful. Hand sanitizer and rubbing alcohol. We needed the rubbing alcohol to clean our products off as they've been in boxes and traveling and moving throughout the show. They got dusty. We want to make sure that they are presented clean. We brought hand sanitizer because we are touching people's phones. They're touching our phone in order to complete their transactions. Just want to make sure that we keep everything as clean as possible. We brought packing tape so that we could close up any boxes for the products that we brought along with us, or if we were to have any kind of mishaps with any of the setup, then we had something there that was available to help with the fix.
We brought a portable charger as well as a hotspot with us. We had our phones as well as our card reader and different devices that needed to be charged, so we wanted to make sure that we had our portable charger in case any of those were to die on us. And then as we mentioned, we also brought our hotspot so that we could accept payments. You just never know what the service is going to be like in any location, and you don't know if you're going to be near any outlets for you to plug in your phone. So it was very useful for us to bring.
We brought snacks in case we got hungry and we weren't able to leave the booth. We brought gum, Tic Tacs, and cough drops because we knew we were going to be talking to a lot of people in very close contact. So we wanted to make sure that we had fresh breath. And then if we were doing a lot of talking, we didn't want our throat to be dry. So the cough drops would come in handy for that At this show, the host did walk around and provide water and Powerades in case anybody wanted any, and they were nice and cold. But we also had some water with us in the car, and then liquid IV just to make sure that we didn't get dehydrated. Another item that I forgot to mention that was in the mini toolkit was a pair of scissors, and that can be invaluable when you're setting up your booth. If anything was to need to be cut, you want to make sure you have scissors, as well as for opening boxes of the products that we brought. And then the last thing was a mini tripod. It worked out well for holding the card reader, but it also could hold a phone and be out of the way so that it could record some of the show for us. So there you have it. Those are some of the top do's and don'ts for a pop-up market, as well as some of the items that we suggest having with you to make sure that you have a successful and enjoyable day. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that bell icon so that you never miss out on any of the tips and behind the scenes at Love & Co Candles.
Thank you so much for watching. We hope that you enjoyed this video.
And if you did, we hope that you'll like, share, and subscribe.
We'll see you in the next one. Bye, loves.
You think you'll be just fine without me, but you're mine.
Think you can
Kick me out of the band. We're not hardcore.
No, you're not hardcore.
Unless you live hardcore.
Unless you live hardcore.
And the legend of the Ren was way hardcore. Be reminded.
Yeah. Very demure.
Very cutesy. See how I didn't knock all of our supplies off of our booth? It was very demure.
Very mindful.
Very mindful. We brought